Hello, my spooky darlings, and welcome to Streams and Screams, the online show thing in which I watch a film that is currently streaming online that I liked and I tell you about it. Today, we are going to be reviewing or discussing or talking about, we're looking at a film that is just recently released to Disney Plus. This is one that I missed in theaters, so I was absolutely excited to see it pop up on streaming so quickly because I really wanted to see it, but I'm really bad at leaving my house sometimes. This is a problem. I am, of course, talking about The First Omen, which is a prequel to the classic film The Omen. If you haven't heard of it, it's great. In The First Omen, we follow a young woman named Margaret who travels to Rome to pursue a life of service of the church. She is going to become a nun and she is going to live to serve God. Naturally, she uncovers a conspiracy that shakes her to her very core, to the core of her beliefs, and things escalate rather quickly as she tries to stop the coming of the Antichrist. As we see in The Omen, Damien. It's all for you, Damien. This film was directed by Arkasha Stevenson. This is, I think, the feature film debut for Stevenson. And by golly, what a strong note to start on. I think the biggest surprise of this film was that everyone kind of heard about it, heard that they were making a prequel to The Omen, and had very unfairly probably low expectations. Nobody was expecting this movie to be good. It is excellent. This is a fantastic film. Surprisingly, it is currently sitting at 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do with that what you will, but it's impressive. And the fact that it is a prequel and it is doing that well from a feature film debut director is really astounding. Now, Arkasha Stevenson is no stranger to the horror genre. They also directed episodes of Brand New Cherry Flavor, as well as Channel Zero and Legion, which is less horror, but still a great show. Now, Arkasha Stevenson, she is doing wonderful things with this film. There's something within the sound design, there's something within the visuals, there's such striking visuals in this film. It has some very choral score notes that reminded me a lot of The Witch, and I mean that in the most favorable way I possibly can, because I love that score for The Witch. Part of the magic of The First Omen is you know where we're ending up here. You know how this story unfolds. You know how the next step, the next chapter starts. And yet, you're still really hoping for a different outcome throughout the film. And that, I think, is the sign of a really, really great film and a really great filmmaker. Someone that is able to let you forget where you're headed, even though all the signs are there. You're still hoping, you're still fingers crossed that something's going to go differently for Margaret. But, of course, doesn't. A fantastic cast in this film as well. Excellent performances. Ralph Ineson, who's also from The Witch, plays Father Brennan in this film. He is used sparingly but very effectively. I was always really kind of excited to see him pop up on screen, partially because he's a really talented actor and partially because he's driving the story forward in a really curious way. Now, I think when you watch a horror film, anything before the title card is really doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's setting up the scene, it's setting up the story, it's setting up the environment, the atmosphere, the energy, the vibe that you are really going to be launching into, and the whole pre-title card sequence in The First Omen is delicious. It's magnificent. You see it coming and yet you're still so there for it. And I really like the way that they explored this story. They explored Damien's origin story, really, because that's what it is. It's an origin story of Damien, the Antichrist. So I think that this was such a strong feature film debut. I think there's really some promising things to be seen from Arkasha Stevenson. I'm so excited to see what she does next. I think this is a really powerful entry. And honestly, again, the visuals are so astounding. There's a stillness to them and there's a creep factor to them, as well as a very sort of understated unnervingness at the same time. I think that this film also really explores well the kind of horrors of being a woman, particularly in the Catholic Church, particularly anywhere, really. In the 70s, not a good time to be a woman either. Not a good time to be a woman a lot of the time. But that's neither here nor there. I think that this film does a really excellent job of creating a mystery, creating a story, creating a direction that you're just launched straight into, even though Again, you know where you're going and you kind of pick up little senses along the way of like where this is all headed. I was still kind of surprised by the eventual reveal, shall we say. So I think The First Omen is a wonderfully powerful entry into the Omen franchise because it is a franchise. There are sequels, it exists, but this film really does something special in that it doesn't try and overstep the original. It doesn't try and trample the original. It doesn't try and rewrite the original. It just really kind of fluffs it in a deliciously creepy, sinister way while creating its own very unique story, very unique scares. Anything religious horror is generally genuinely terrifying. There's a lot of iconography there that is fascinating and stunning, and they really use it to great effect in this film. So, The First Omen, highly recommend. This is one that, again, I wish I'd caught in theaters because I feel like it would have been such a crazy experience to see this on the big screen with the sound that accompanies it because, oh my gosh, there are moments that I just was my breath was taken away. I was so astounded and so pleased by the creep factor of this film and the sights and the sounds of this film. There are quite a few little moments of homage, tip of the hat, to the original 1976 Omen film. One being very, very obvious, but I really appreciated that they didn't just recreate exactly what happened. They did something different and they elevated it to a more traumatic degree, and I think that's wonderful. Anytime you can traumatize an audience, I am there for it. I think that's great. Anytime you can traumatize a group of children in a film, because, you gotta spook them while they're young and impressionable and not jaded enough to be tired of the spookies. So, I think if you were to pair this with another film for a double feature, I would absolutely say pair it with The Omen from 1976, The First Omen and The First Omen, starring Gregory Peck. Incredible film, such an iconic classic, and I feel like it would work really well to kind of bookend these two films together. Why not do a whole spree with it? Do the other sequels as well. Have a blast. Have a marathon. I dare you. It's going to be great. But absolutely either way, make sure you check out The First Omen on Disney Plus, or you can check out the trailer right here, right now. Okay, so hi, I'm back. This is actually several weeks after I recorded this video. You can tell because my hair is a different color. However, I was not allowed to show the trailer in this film because they don't like copyright infringement on new movies. So we're going to try something different, and we will link to the trailer in the description below. You can track it down there, check it out, watch it, and enjoy.